Sup you guys, ASD Classified here, and today I'm gonna be talking about Kamen Rider Gaim. Yep, I finally started watching Kamen Rider Gaim. Yes, finally. So far I've only seen episodes 1 through 23, and I'm just gonna talk about, my thoughts on the show so far, I originally wanted to wait on making this video until I had caught up with, everybody else. I think they're on episode like 30 something right now, 33 or something. Yeah, but there's just so much story going on now and more things are being introduced. So the longer I wait, the more there's going to be a bunch of crap that I want to talk about, and the video is going to be 5 years long. So 5 years long. So let me just make a video now talking about what I think about the series, where I'm at. I watched 1 through 23. Let's talk about this shit. So, Kamen Rider Gaim. I can tell you right now that I really like this show. Like, I really like it. It is so good, especially right now. And I didn't expect to like it as much as I did. I mean, considering how the show first started out, I didn't expect to like it as much as I do. But damn, it's good. So let's talk about what this show is about. So, well, in the beginning, the show was basically this weird mixture between a Kamen Rider series, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Digimon Season 3 mostly. It was just a combination of all those Fox Kids shows that were on at the same time back in the day. So Yu-Gi-Oh!, Digimon, Beyblades, Metabuzz. Like, it's just a combination of all those shows mixed together. And they threw in some America's Best Dance Crew and Fruits in there as well. It's like, who came up with this? Who thought of mixing all of these elements together, man? Whoever it was, they are creative as fuck. I would have never thought to mix all this together. But somehow, it worked. Somehow, it caught my attention and kept me watching. Somehow. So, in the beginning of the show, there was this game, right? And it was all the rage with the teenagers. Like, all of them were playing it. It was called the Invis Games, right? Pretty much just Yu-Gi-Oh! And Digimon, all that shit. So, yeah. This is how it worked, alright? So, there's these teenagers, and there's these different teams that are running around. Like, Team Gaim, Team Baron, all these other different teams, right? And they're basically a dance crew, right? So all these different teams have these different territories all over the city, right? And they just be dancing, and pussy popping, booty shaking, all that shit. They just dancing for whatever crowd is watching them, right? And then another team will come to their territory and challenge them like, hey, we think your dancing sucks. We want to take over this spot, right? So instead of having a dance-off, they decide to fight with monsters. Well, simulations of monsters, right? So pretty much this is where the Yu-Gi-Oh! Part comes in. So they start fighting. They're like, okay, I'm gonna summon Dark Magician. Oh yeah? Well, I'm gonna summon Dark Magician as well, because most of the Invis monsters look exactly the same. So yeah, they summon these monsters, right? And then, the monsters fight and whatever, and then eventually one of them wins, right? And whoever wins, gets that territory and they can dance there. So if the team that originally owned the territory wins, they keep that territory. They also win the monster of the people they were fighting, and they also like get points and move up the rankings, 50 points for Gryffindor or some shit like that, right? So these teenagers, they play this game, it's very popular, and then there was some shady character who was giving out these devices to certain teenagers, and these devices, they were like Kamen Rider belts, and basically they would turn the teenagers into Kamen Riders, and then they could fight in the game, themselves. So if they're in a fight in the Invis Games, like somebody summons Dark Magician, then they're like, oh yeah, well, I summon myself, and I get in the ring and I fight the monster on my own, and then I win, And then it turns out it's not just a game, you guys. It's real. The monsters, they're real. The Kamen Rider powers, they're real. And you can really hurt people and kill people with this stuff. So, yeah. This whole transition from it's a game to it's real life, it really wasn't done that well, in my opinion. It just happened. You know, it's like one day, oh yeah, we summon these monsters, and then if we lose control of the monsters, they become real and hurt people. What? I guess. I don't know. It just happened, man. I wish they would have explained it a little better, because nobody really seemed to freak out in the way that I would think somebody would freak out if you found out these simulations are now real. It's like, oh, you lost control of the monster and it's attacking people? Oh no. That's pretty much what happened. Like, nobody was freaking out. There's no mass panic. Not really, you know. It's just, oh, so it's real now. Interesting. I don't know. Okay, so in this show, there's also an evil corporation running afoot, and they are responsible for the creation of the Kamen Rider powers in this series. Hell, they're also responsible for the Invis Games. Their name, I believe, is the Judicial Corporation. Judicial Corporation. I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing it wrong. It's a very hard name to say, at least for me. So I'm just going to call it the Oscorp Corporation, okay? So, the Oscorp Corporation, they're responsible for, well, not completely responsible, I'll get into that, but they're responsible for the Kamen Rider powers being created, and they're responsible for a bunch of teenagers having these powers. And their reason for giving teenagers a bunch of Kamen Rider powers, you know, destructive military-like powers that could probably destroy the world, their reasoning is that these powers are just prototypes, and they just gave it to these teenagers to test out so they can, you know, see how powerful they can make the suits and see how powerful the suits are so far and how well they work and stuff. That seems ridiculous to me, because it's like, this is a very huge corporation. They could have just had somebody who worked for them test out these powers, but oh no, we need to give it to random teenagers. And I don't get that logic. I just don't, okay? It's weird, you know? And, okay, so I'm gonna explain it more, but yeah, the monsters, the simulations that are actually real, yeah, these monsters, they come from another dimension. And Oscorp is trying to keep this a secret from the rest of the world, right? They're trying to keep things a secret, but yet they gave Kamen Rider powers to teenagers. And then when these monsters started getting out of control and attacking people all over the city, the citizens, they started to blame the teenagers who played the game and used these monsters. And the Oscorp kind of helped fuel the citizens' rage towards the teenagers. It's like, how are the citizens blaming teenagers for playing a game that was created by Oscorp? It's like, what? I don't really get that. It's just like, Oscorp created this game. I don't know. Well, I don't know if it's public knowledge that Oscorp created the game. I don't think it is, but somebody had to create this game, right? Somebody had to have created this, and nobody thought to find out who created it. No, we're just going to blame the teenagers who played this game. Clearly, they created all this super technology, right? What? I don't know. So all that stuff about Kamen Rider Gaim's storyline is a little iffy to me, but literally everything else I love. Like, I fucking love the storyline that's going on here. I love the characters. I love all the shady shit that's going on with Oscorp. Damn it, I love it! So, okay, I've just been tiptoeing around the story because really it's a long story. It's not really that hard to explain. It's just, I'm trying to explain it in the quickest way possible, and I don't know if I can do that, my blabbermouth ass, but I'm going to attempt. So, okay. So, the story. Okay, so, like I said, these monsters, the Invis monsters, they come from another dimension. And this dimension is called the Helheim Forest, right? So, at one time, there was a civilization that lived on the Helheim Forest, you know. I don't know if it was like the civilizations on Earth, but, you know, it's a civilization. They lived their lives, you know. And then one day, these strange plants started growing on, you know, their world. And they started bearing these strange fruits. And when the people ate these fruits, they lost their minds, went mad, and turned into monsters. And those are the monsters that are currently invading our world. So there are cracks that have been appearing in our world that link our world to that world, and that's how the monsters have been coming to our dimension. Also, these strange fruits are what power the Kamen Rider suits in this series. So this is where the fruit aspect comes in. So these strange fruits, when a Kamen Rider suit, touches these fruits, they turn into these devices called lock seeds. And they can be like orange lock seeds, strawberry lock seeds, cherry lock seeds, all different types of fruit. And the riders use this, to power up their suits and stuff. Yeah. The lock seeds were also the devices that the teenagers used to summon the monsters from, the Helheim Forest to our dimension to play their game. Yeah, game. So, yeah, pretty much these cracks mean the end of the world. Like, that civilization in Helheim Forest was destroyed because of these plants, and pretty much these plants are now starting to invade our world, and it's estimated that in 10 years, our world will become the same as the Helheim Forest. We'll all be destroyed and extinct. And that is what Oscorp is working to stop. They're trying to save humanity. So they're actually trying to do a good thing, but they're trying to do a good thing in the most shady and evil way possible. So here's the thing. Here's the reason that they developed the Kamen Rider suits, right? They developed these suits because, like I said before, the Kamen Rider suits have the ability to turn the fruits into lock seeds. When the fruits are a lock seed, they're harmless. Like, they can't hurt you, they can't do anything. So Oscorp plans to develop 1 billion Kamen Rider suits to save humanity, right? Here's the thing. There are 7 billion people on Earth, as most people know. They can only develop 1 billion Kamen Rider suits. So Oscorp has decided that in the following 10 years, they're going to kill off 6 billion people. Wonderful! Joy! Okay, so Oscorp trying to do a good thing, but clearly there are some ethics violations going on here. The thing is about Oscorp is that I completely get what they're trying to do, I mean, they're still bad and evil, but I get it. And that's currently what the main hero is trying to fight against, a Kamen Rider Gaim. Like, he believes that there is a way to save everybody without sacrificing 6 billion people. Oscorp doesn't, so that's why they're clashing heads and fighting and stuff. But I get the thought process behind Oscorp. Like, I get it. And I think those are the best kind of villains, where you can't demonize them completely. It's like they're doing evil shit, but you get why they're doing it. And somewhere in there's a good reason for why they're doing it. Like, I get it. Like, they're still evil, but I get it. It's not easy to just say, like, oh, you're just a bad guy. It's not black and white. It's not cut and dry. And that makes for a very intriguing storyline. So, kudos, Kamen Rider Gaim.